So you have got a plumbing project coming up, and somewhere along the way somebody mentioned soldering copper pipe. And now you are wondering if this is really something you can pull off without any experience, or if you are about to burn your house down. I get it. Soldering sounds intimidating, but here is the truth. I have taught complete beginners how to solder a watertight joint in about 15 minutes. Today, I am going to walk you through the entire process from cutting the pipe all the way through pressure, testing your connections. And if you stick around to the end, I will show you an old plumber's trick for soldering on a line that still has water in it. That one tip alone will save you a massive headache. Let us get into it. Soldering copper is one of those skills that looks like it takes years to learn. But once you understand what is actually happening inside the joint, the whole thing clicks. This is a skill you will use for decades, and honestly, it is one of the most satisfying things you can do in plumbing. So let me start by explaining what is really going on when you solder a joint. Here is what most people do not realize. You are not melting solder onto the outside of a pipe and hoping it holds. What you are actually doing is heating the fitting and the pipe to the point where the solder liquefies and gets pulled into the gap between the pipe and the fitting by something called capillary action. Think of it like dipping the corner of a paper towel into water and watching the water climb upward on its own. Same principle. The solder gets drawn into that tight space and fills it completely, creating a seal that is going to last 50 years or more. That is why preparation matters so much. If there is dirt, oxidation, or moisture in that gap, the solder has nothing clean to bond to, and it will not draw in properly. Every step I am about to show you exists to make sure that capillary action works perfectly. One more thing. For any potable water line, you need to use lead-free solder. That is code everywhere now, and it is the right thing to do. The roll will say lead-free right on the label. Do not grab the 50/50 lead tin solder that is meant for other applications. Lead-free only for drinking water. All right, let us talk about what you need before you light that torch. For the torch itself, I recommend a self-igniting propane torch. You can pick one up at any hardware store for around $30. Burnzomatic and Worthington both make solid ones. Propane is plenty hot for 1/2-inch and 3/4-inch copper, which covers about 95% of residential work. You do not need MAP gas unless you are working with 1-inch pipe or larger. For solder, grab a roll of lead-free solder. Look for a rosin core or solid wire that is about 1/8 of an inch in diameter. For flux, you want a water-soluble paste flux. Odie and RectorSeal both make good ones. You will also need a tube cutter, not a hacksaw. I will explain why in a second. Get a proper copper tube cutter that fits 1/2-inch and 3/4-inch pipe. A 4-in-1 hand cleaning tool is a huge help too. It has a wire brush that fits inside the fitting and a screen that wraps around the outside of the pipe. If you do not have one of those, emery cloth or sandpaper and about 120 grit works fine. Grab a few dry rags, a spray bottle with water in it, and a flame protector cloth if you are working anywhere near wood or drywall. That cloth costs about $8 and it is cheap insurance. One more thing. Keep a fire extinguisher nearby. I am not trying to scare you, but you are working with an open flame and being prepared is just smart. Now let us cut some pipe. This is where a tube cutter makes all the difference compared to a hacksaw. A hacksaw leaves a rough, uneven edge and sends tiny metal shavings everywhere. A tube cutter gives you a perfectly square, clean cut every single time. Here is how you use it. Open the cutter and slide it onto the pipe where you want your cut. Tighten the knob until the cutting wheel just barely bites into the copper. Do not crank it down hard. Now rotate the cutter around the pipe one full turn. You will feel it glide smoothly. After one full rotation, tighten the knob about a 1/4 turn and rotate again. Keep repeating that, a 1/4 turn, then a full rotation. After about 6 or 7 rotations, the pipe will separate cleanly. The key here is patience. If you tighten too aggressively, you will crush the pipe into an oval shape and it will not fit into the fitting properly. Nice, easy quarter turns. I have cut thousands of pipes this way, and it works perfectly every time. One tip: when you are measuring your pipe, remember that the pipe slides into the fitting about 1/2 inch on 1/2 inch copper and about 3/4 of an inch on 3/4 inch copper. So add that to your measurement on each end. If you are connecting 2 fittings with a straight piece of pipe, you need the distance between them plus the depth of both fitting cups. By the way, if you are finding this helpful, you should know this is just a taste of what I have put into my book. 50 Easy Plumbing Fixes That Will Save You $10,000. It covers everything from leaky faucets to running toilets, step by step with diagrams. You can grab your copy by scanning the QR code on screen right now, or just use the first link in the description below. All right, let us keep going. This next step is where most beginners either rush through or skip entirely, and it is the #1 reason soldered joints leak. You have to deburr, clean, and flux every single joint. No exceptions. After you make your cut with the tube cutter, you will notice a small ridge of copper on the inside edge of the pipe. That is called a burr. Your tube cutter probably has a little triangular blade that folds out from the body. Use that to ream out the inside of the pipe. Just insert it and twist a few times until that inner edge is smooth. If you skip this, that burr restricts water flow and creates turbulence that can erode the joint over time. Now for cleaning. This is the most important prep step, and I cannot stress it enough. Take your 4-in-1 tool or your emery cloth and clean the outside of the pipe where it will slide into the fitting. You want to see bright, shiny copper. Not dull, not slightly tarnished. Bright and shiny like a new penny. Clean about 1 inch of the pipe end. Then take the brush end of your tool and clean the inside of the fitting cup the same way. Bright shiny copper inside and out. The reason this matters goes back to capillary action. Solder bonds to clean copper. It will not bond to oxidation, finger oils, dirt, or any kind of contamination. If you clean it right, the solder practically does the work for you. Once everything is cleaned, apply flux immediately. Do not clean your pipe and then go eat lunch. Copper starts oxidizing again within minutes. Take your flux paste and brush a thin, even coat on the outside of the pipe end and the inside of the fitting cup. You do not need a ton. A thin coat covering all the cleaned surfaces is perfect. The flux does 2 things. It prevents oxidation while you heat the joint, and it helps the solder flow into the gap. Use the brush that comes in the flux container or a small acid brush. And keep flux off your skin as much as possible. It is mildly acidic. If you get some on your hands, just wash them when you get a chance. Before you fire up the torch, do yourself a huge favor and dry fit everything first. Slide all your pipes into all your fittings without solder, and make sure the entire assembly lines up the way you planned. Check your angles. Make sure the pipe is seated fully into each fitting cup. Once everything looks right, I like to take a marker and draw a line across the joint where the pipe meets the fitting. That way, when you take it apart, clean it, flux it, and reassemble it, you can line up those marks and know the pipe is fully seated and oriented correctly. This sounds like a small thing, but on a complex assembly with multiple joints and direction changes, it saves you from realizing something is pointing the wrong way after you have already soldered 3 joints. Trust me on this one. I learned it the hard way, early in my career. All right, here is the main event. This is the part that makes people nervous, but if you have done your prep work right, this is actually the easiest step. Light your torch and adjust the flame. You want a steady blue cone, not a big lazy orange flame. That blue inner cone is where the heat is concentrated. Hold the tip of that blue cone about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch away from the fitting. Here is the critical part. Heat the fitting, not the pipe. The fitting is thicker and needs more heat. It also needs to be hotter than the pipe, so it draws the solder inward through capillary action. Start by heating the back side of the fitting cup, opposite from where you are going to apply the solder. Move the flame around the fitting to distribute the heat evenly. Do not just blast one spot. After about 5 to 8 seconds on 1/2 inch copper, touch the tip of your solder wire to the joint, where the pipe enters the fitting on the side opposite the flame. If the joint is hot enough, the solder will melt instantly on contact, and you will see it get sucked right into the gap. That moment right there is incredibly satisfying. Feed about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of solder into the joint for a 1/2 inch pipe that is roughly enough to go all the way around. You will see a bright silver ring form around the base of the fitting. That is exactly what you want. Pull the flame away as soon as the solder starts to flow. One of the biggest beginner mistakes is keeping the flame on too long. Once the solder is flowing, the joint is hot enough. More heat at that point just burns off the flux and pushes the solder back out. If you are working with 3/4 inch pipe, everything is the same, but give it a few extra seconds of heat and feed a little more solder, roughly 1 inch of wire. The bigger the pipe, the more heat and solder you need, but the technique does not change. As soon as you finish soldering the joint and pull the flame away, take a dry rag and quickly wipe around the joint while the solder is still molten. This does 2 things. It removes excess flux, and it creates a clean, professional-looking joint. Be careful, that pipe is extremely hot. Fold the rag thick and work quickly. You have about 3 to 4 seconds before the solder sets. After wiping, look at the joint. You should see a consistent silver ring all the way around with no gaps or dark spots. A properly soldered joint is smooth even and fully sealed. If you see a gap or an area where solder did not take, let the joint cool completely. Clean it, reflux it, and reheat it. Do not try to add solder to a cold joint. It will just blob on the outside and will not seal anything. Once all your joints are soldered and cooled, it is time to turn the water back on and test your work. Open the supply valve slowly, not all at once. Let the system pressurize gradually. Now check every single joint carefully. Run your finger around each one and feel for any moisture. Even a tiny bead of water means the joint needs to be redone. Look above and below each joint because water can travel along the pipe and drip somewhere unexpected. Let the system run under full pressure for at least 10 minutes before you call it good. If everything stays bone dry, congratulations. You just soldered copper pipe like a professional. Let us go over some issues you might run into and how to deal with them. First up, solder that balls up on the outside of the joint and will not draw in. This almost always means the pipe or fitting was not cleaned well enough, or the flux was missed on one of the surfaces. Let it cool. Take it apart, clean everything again with fresh emery cloth until it is bright copper, reflux both pieces, and try again. Going forward, never skip the cleaning step even if the copper looks clean to the eye. Next, a joint that drips after the water is turned on. If it is a slow weep, sometimes you can drain the line, dry the joint with a rag, apply fresh flux, and reheat it while feeding a small amount of solder. The existing solder can remelt and fill the gap. But if it is a steady drip, you are better off cutting the joint out and starting fresh with a new fitting. Third, the pipe keeps turning oval when you cut it. You are tightening the tube cutter too aggressively. Back off and only give it a quarter turn between each rotation. If the pipe is already oval, cut a fresh section, because an oval pipe will not seat properly in the fitting. Fourth, the flux keeps bubbling and turning black before the solder melts. You are overheating the joint. Back the torch off and use less direct flame. Black flux means the joint is too hot and the flux has burned away, which means the solder has nothing to help it flow. Let it cool, clean it, reflux it, and try again with less heat. Fifth, you hear sizzling and spitting when you apply heat. There is moisture in the line. Even a small amount of water inside the pipe turns to steam and blows the solder right out of the joint. This is extremely common when you are working on existing plumbing. You need to get the line completely dry before soldering, which brings me to the bonus tip. All right, here is that bonus tip I promised at the start, and this one is a real game changer for anyone working on existing water lines. When you shut off the water and open the line, there is almost always a little bit of residual water sitting in the pipe. Gravity drains most of it, but there is usually enough left to turn to steam and ruin your joint. Here is what professional plumbers have been doing for decades. Take a piece of plain white bread, regular sandwich bread, tear off the crust, and roll the soft part into a tight little ball. Stuff that bread ball into the pipe about 2 inches past where your fitting will sit. The bread acts as a temporary dam, absorbing the residual water and giving you a dry work area to solder. Once you are done and you turn the water back on, the bread dissolves completely and flushes right out through your faucet. It sounds ridiculous, but I have used this trick hundreds of times and it works perfectly. Just make sure you use plain white bread with no seeds, no grains, nothing that could get caught in an aerator or valve. Remove the aerator from the nearest faucet downstream before you flush, so any bread particles pass straight through. This little trick has saved me more callbacks than I can count, and it will save you a lot of frustration on repair work. All right, that wraps it up. If this was useful, you will love the full book. 50 step-by-step plumbing fixes with diagrams, all in one guide. Link is below. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next video. Thanks for watching.